How do you propose playing hardball with China yet keeping our fragile relationship and sustaining that?
You got to hit them hard. You got to hit them hard through leaders who actually know how the relationship works. And having worked that relationship for 30 years, I know every angle in the U.S.-China relationship. But here's the reality with U.S. and China economic relations. China's going down. They're not going up. They've had 30 years of GDP growth of 8, 9, 10%. And they're now embarking upon the years ahead that will see more like 4, 5, 6% growth. So the investment dollar that always knee-jerk goes to China is now going to be looking for an alternative market. And we would be very smart in this country if we made it a point, a commitment to rebuild our manufacturing muscle in this nation, which we can do. We've got to address our competitive environment, but that dollar is going to go someplace that now goes into China because of the political instability that will likely result from higher unemployment. This is kind of what traditionally happens in China. We ought to win that dollar. We ought to rebuild our manufacturing muscle, get us back on our feet again. We can do it. The American people know it can be done.
But Thank you, Governor. How are we going to do that?
Well, I put forward 3 proposals that will absolutely.
Mr. Santorum, now the last half hour of the debate was pretty much dominated by the topic of Social Security. How do you propose?
It was pretty frustrating. I didn't get a question for the last half hour.
Well, how would you like to respond to sort of fixing the problem that we're having too many people taking out, not enough paying?
Well, I mean, the bottom line here is that a system, as Herman Cain or Newt or some others, and Rick Perry have suggested, which is, to go to personal accounts. I was talking about personal accounts before any of them were talking about personal accounts when we had a surplus in Social Security. We have a deficit in Social Security right now, and I didn't hear any plan or any question about how they're going to fund those personal accounts. How much money they're going to borrow, in addition to the money that we're going to borrow because Social Security is not able to pay for their the current benefit stream, or how much are we going to increase in taxes on people so they can either put that money aside. And I didn't hear that, and I think we need to hear that. But again, I tried, waved to try to get in on that question and was not given the opportunity to comment on it. But this is a very complex issue, and I think what you heard were very simplistic answers. Someone who's worked on this issue as much as I have, more than ever, I've put more hours in there, and believe that we can build a Social Security system that will work for future generations. But we in many respects we missed a window. We missed a window when there was a surplus, and right now we've got to deal with the reality that we're running a deficit, and we've got to somehow make up that deficit and be able to pay benefits.
That I would suggest to you need to be downsized and what have you. But it's those simple conservative principles are what people are interested in. And I will suggest to you, as they sort their way through this, as they look at our tax plan, as they look at the flat tax of 20%, as they look at what we're going to do with entitlements, as they look at how we're going to deal with spending, as we talk about which agencies of government, frankly, need to be pushed back to the states or done away with, we'll win the day at the end of that.
Governor, what do you say to Republicans? Is it time to rethink the debates at this point? Is it time to rethink these debates?
Rethink them in what sense?
Rethink them in terms of you stepping away from them. I mean, you had discussed that earlier.
Absolutely not. I'll be in South Carolina on Saturday.
Governor,
and hopefully I'll remember the Energy Department.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank y'all.
All right, is it rolling?
Listen, it was a good discussion about, although limited, about what this country so desperately needs, which is a competitive foundation that allows us to address the most pressing issue of all, and that's joblessness. And we're not going to be able to address the pain and suffering that people are experiencing in this country because of joblessness until such time as we address our structural underlying problems: taxes, regulatory reform, and movement toward energy independence. But beyond that, we have a fundamental trust issue in this country. Trust is running on empty right now as it relates to the way the American people view Washington, Congress, the executive branch, and Wall Street. When you've got banks that are too big to fail, we're in a very difficult situation right now. And when you begin to run on empty in terms of trust, that puts you in a very precarious position. And that doesn't serve our democracy well.
Governor, what were you thinking when Rick Perry couldn't remember the third agency he was seeking to cut? And do you think that
it's 3 agencies of government when I get there that are gone: commerce, education, and the what's the third one? Oops.